I'm doing all right. Love, peace, happiness, and togetherness. Sounds like a good motto to me. I love
it. Yeah. Welcome back to Wook Plus. I am Weekend Wook, joined by Kev the Great Went. This is the After PHiSH After Show. Shout out to Expert Selections for joining the Wook crew. You are now part of the Wook crew. Welcome. Fun show, Kev. We had the separate hang with the members, and neither one of us were super high on the first set, right? But I was like, I don't want to shit on the entire show, and I was like kind of getting nervous, but boy,
you said you were going to be honest. You said you were going to be honest.
But I wasn't going to be happy about it.
That's all we asked, though, is for you to be honest with us.
Of course, of course we're going to be honest. But like, I feel like I can honestly say that second set kicked some major ass and really pulled what would have been a otherwise, average, maybe slightly above average show to a pretty damn good show.
I felt it was very highs and lows. Couple great sections there, couple questionable moves for me in the first set. The second set, I absolutely just adored the Monsters. I adored that song right now in this moment. But why don't we look at it? Let's take a look at this first set.
Yeah, why not? Let's do it. So theme's an odd way to start the show. I actually don't mind it. I think it's a nice risk to take, like a nice thing to go out and try something different. I don't know if it landed exactly with how they wanted it to land, but I'm okay with it. I think it was a pretty decent theme, all things considered.
It's not an opener. It kind of starts off slow, and I don't know. It's like a theme song they play while you were finding your seat before they really kicked it into drive with the next song.
Yeah, I mean, it's like the opposite of what they did night one with Buried Alive into Zero. The theme back on the train was
We're here.
It was like just like a mellow. But you know what, though? Like, it depends what mindset you're in, right? Because, like, if you're just, like, grooving and stuff, like, it's fun. It kept things moving. Like, it wasn't high octane, but...
Right. Theme just works for me better in the middle of a second set or something where you're already out there and you kind of can drift through it, and then you go through that beautiful soundscape and you land somewhere else.
No, I mean, it's hard to argue with that. I don't think you're wrong. I just don't know that it bothered me as much. I love
Back on the Train.
I was gonna skip that. I thought Back on the Train was fine. I'd not skip it, but like I didn't have much else to say about it. What'd you think of it?
I mean, it's a great little shuffle mid-tempo rocker. It does what it's supposed to do. It gets the crowd going. It's got a catchy chorus. Everyone's like, "Yeah, I'm back on the train. What's up?"
So, I like the energy and the when you're in the grass and they play this and just like everybody's just like, I don't know. It kind of sets like a nice pace to things. I loved this S.A.N.T.O.S jam though. I thought this S.A.N.T.O.S was fantastic. I thought Mike was turned up and had really good tone.
Much better. We didn't mention that last night. Mike was way low in the mix. Tonight, he was probably the highest thing in the mix, maybe a little overcompensation. So tomorrow night, hopefully we land where the sound for the tour is going to go. I think the biggest problem with that is every venue you go to, the sound's different.
Yeah, but they're professionals, right? They got that shit on lock. It wasn't terrible last night, but I do like that they adjusted. I like that they paid attention to that. Also, while we're on that vein, I thought the camera work was awesome tonight. The CK5 cam, there were a lot of cool shit in the second set with that CK5 that Chris was doing with the lights, and it was cool that they did the pull back.
We need T. We need T because I don't know if anything's different with the rig.
I don't know. They definitely did new programming, right? Like I think maybe the mechanics and the actual rig itself is still the same, but he wrote in like new things for you
after the sphere that they
hadn't been doing.
You think he had some like ideas after working with the sphere and seeing possibilities for?
No, I think it was just each year he thinks of new things, right? New fresh stuff.
He would be cool to talk to.
But yeah, I thought that Sand Jam was
Just saying.
fantastic, and it was the glimpse of hope in the night, right? Where I was like, in the first set, that I was like, okay, they're still playing really good.
Jazzy. It got jazzy. It was something different. The one at Dick's last year, everyone's like, man, that sounds fantastic, but they played the same thing for 20 minutes. This one, they used
That's
the
not
5
bad
minutes.
though. I mean, there is an
No, it's not
ostinato
bad.
in it.
It's not bad, but they used their time wisely, did something interesting with it. And I was going to say this later about Monsters, that maybe every song doesn't have to be like 20 minutes or longer. Maybe sometimes if a song's double what it is on the album, that's more than enough time to explore it, create something meaningful, and then move on to the next thing, which was bouncing here.
Yeah, bouncing is bouncing. I've said this many times on the channel. Whether it's 92, 2003, 2024.
But I was psyched. I was psyched for the bouncing when they did it, because I was like, cool, they're doing a bouncing 4-song in.
Yeah, fine. There's nothing wrong with it.
But then when the next one came up, I was like, man, you can't go back to back with these two, even though the number line had a little bit of meat on the bones there.
Yeah, Sully, I disagree. Like, I think this first set was not great, but I do think the second set was pretty solid. I think there was a lot of fantastic shit.
We're trying to be positive, Sully. We're trying to be positive, my man.
All right, well, why don't you take number line then? That'll keep it more positive.
Well, I don't have a problem with number line, and I said this at the set break hang. Number line should be an opener. And that's all. I'll leave it at that. It was solid. They got a little bit of extra in there. I think Trey still digs it. He's like, this is the song that revived PHiSH.
Yeah, I mean, when you hear Trey's interviews and he talks about the positive and the light and like getting rid of the darkness and shit, it's hard to like hate the things that keeps him moving. And I think that it feels like a ripcord because of the way it intros, and it's not my favorite song.
You can't do it halfway through the second set. It'll sound like a ripcord.
Yeah. But, it was a decent jam, actually. Like, that was the other thing I think about, is like, it gives you that truly major, blissful jam that is you don't get in a ton of other songs. They do so many minor or modal, like a Mixolydian or Dorian jam, where like they play with the keys. But this is one that typically you just get a true major straightforward jam, which is really sweet.
Right. All right. So Human Nature, I think I've been really waiting for. I think you've been curious what it was going to sound like. I've listened to the Mike Gordon band versions, which were twice as long, and they actually did the jam, went back to the song, did the jam again, and then ended the song. So there was a double Human Nature jam. I feel like Trey looked like he was having fun with it, but it just didn't. It's right there. If you give it another 4 or 5 minutes, I think it would be great. Even in a second set, like second spot in the second set, I think it would totally fill that. And it was our second sand of the night.
To me, it's fit very much like all of Mike's other songs, where the verses and when he's singing, I'm not in love with it. But then when they get into the jam, it has so much potential. I mean, he's the king of grooves. And I thought the start of this jam was really nice. And it's so funny. It's like flips the switch instantly. In the written, vocal part, it's like kind of hard to hear, and that, like, or not hard to hear, but hard to listen to. And then it switches into the jam, and you're like, fuck yeah, like this sounds awesome. But I agree with you that, like, while it had the potential and the setup for it, it didn't really deliver on it. This time, I'm going to maintain, and I know you've talked about this, that this has a lot of potential, and that we very well could see this become one of the Mike songs that turns into a big jam vehicle. And I hope we do. I think it's potential. I just minimize the vocal parts, I guess.
Right. Now, let me ask you a question. Does Mike need broccoli?
No, see, that all right. I don't want to spend the entire show talking about Mike singing. I don't think it's necessarily his technique or his voice. It's how he writes his songs, because he sings songs that are written by Trey or other people, like bluegrass standards, that I think sound pretty good. Like, I think he has the ability to sing well, but I don't think his writing style works well for his voice, which is ironic, because you would think, if you're writing it, you would write something that you sound good singing. I mean, maybe it
Maybe it's
sounds
a
good in his
challenge,
head.
right? Maybe he's challenging himself. Anyway,
Yeah.
it's ice. It's ice. It was short. I thought it was an odd choice right there, almost like I wish it had. I don't know. I felt like they were almost going with it, and then Trey's like, "All right, I'm out of here."
Yeah, I appreciated that they played it in this set. I think we needed something a little more compositionally intricate and scratch that nostalgia itch a little bit. I thought it was really clean. It's Ice is one of those songs. Yeah, I hope so. I mean, I hope not. Um, there are a number of songs from that like Rift era
Riff.
that have been getting butchered like the end of 3.0 into 4.0, and to see them playing it cleanly is nice, even if it's a very standard serviceable version. But it's just a nice standard simple short It's Ice. It's fine.
Right. I felt like we were a little adrift there, and then we hit the Wolfmans, and Mike kicked on the Boogie on Reggae Woman bass sound after they got through the vocal, the song proper, I guess is what you call it. And I was like, now they're on to something. I thought we were getting a Boogie on Reggae Woman. I thought it was coming, and Mike, I totally took over, I think, at this moment.
Yeah, and that was awesome. And then it got drifted.
Yes, and SE, there was no phone ringing for Liz. Trey was like, whatever, I'm done with that.
He had his phone on silent.
Right, yeah.
There's a little vibration. You just didn't hear it.
Right. And, let's just say that this is the perfect spot for drift while you're sleeping. After the unevenness of the set for me, let's put it right here. And
right now, hopefully it won't show up for 4 to 5 at least shows, and maybe the rest of the tour.
Alpine, yeah, they'll definitely do it at Alpine.
Yeah,
it's a very hippie thing. You see everybody getting their granola out, and
my brother's in town, and he's like my original, like the person I saw PHiSH with for the first time. My first like 50 shows we went together, like set partners and stuff. And we were sitting there. He's like, "I love this song," and I didn't say anything because I didn't want to like shit on him while we were listening to it. But I was like thinking to myself, I was like, well, at least somebody does, right? But I know a lot of people, right? I feel like a lot of people love it, right? And that's the thing I got to remember is like, just because I like something doesn't mean other people do, and just because I don't doesn't mean other people don't,
Right.
But it's fine. It was an okay. I don't want to say it was a horrible set, but this was a mediocre first set. I think.
Right.
We'll put it like that.
I tell you what, when you add in the second set, it's a show that you're like, yeah, that was a pretty solid show.
Yeah. Quick housekeeping during set break. We will be doing these after shows 15 minutes after encore for every PHiSH show during tour. Except for Monday Green, we'll be doing after shows, but we're gonna all be at Monday Green. So find us if you want to, say hi or hang out.
We're gonna
do the after shows at a later point and then release them. So we'll still do after shows. We're just not committing to doing it 15 minutes after.
It might be 5 a.m. when you see it. We might even, because I'm trying to convince this other guy to do it.
Put that shit out there. Wait, let's talk about it as you got. Come on, man, it's too early. We'll leave it there as a teaser.
It's too early. There's 25 days.
No, but we haven't even talked to T about it. T's dog's doing well, by the way. I know a lot of people were asking about T and everything's good. His dog got into some poison and there was a scare, but he texted me a little while ago and said that the dog's good, so all is good. Also, Fishtails, if you haven't checked it out, we just released it I don't know, a couple days ago, and it was awesome. The Coventry should be coming out pretty soon. So the best way to get all of our content, though, is to subscribe to the channel. And if you're there, you might as well join and become a member and check out the set break hangs. Yeah, what's it? Expert Selections joined just today. So be cool like him. All right, let's get into the second set, because I think this is what really made this show. I think starting with Yem was the perfect way. It was a palate cleanser, right? It was like, hey, forget everything else. Here we fucking go. And I loved how they played through it. I love that there was a very short vocal jam and that they returned back into the jam. the ripcord into Oblivion was completely unnecessary. They could have given it like another 4, 6 bars, 8 bars, and did either like an actual resolution and then started Oblivion, or segued into Oblivion. It was like a weird, not quite a segue, not quite a resolution. It was just kind of like, I guess we're doing Oblivion now. That was my only critique, but I thought the playing was fantastic up till that point.
See, it was almost a 15-minute set break, because we came in and we only ran 16 minutes for the set break hang, and we started.
I know, I was
a minute
mid
or two
sentence, and we're like, oh shit, gotta go.
I was like, that's it. All right, so Deer Creek 22 opened the second set with Yam, did the little jam, but it was a lot longer, right?
Yeah.
So that was the first thing I thought. And they did the Wave of Hope that night, and Wave of Hope has become a monster since then. That was the night Wave of Hope completely broke through, completely organically. This seemed forced, like, all right, they should have let the Yam Jam go longer. They should have. And find its way to Oblivion, like Medixolate or whatever you were talking about earlier, and get yourself down to Oblivion.
Mixolydian? You talking about the modes?
And get
you
yourself
just flat
some
the seventh, buddy. You take T to Tay. You know, like,
and then and right. I thought the Yam, it was tight. It was 16 minutes. It's probably one of the shorter ones if we looked back on timing for them. But I feel like it really benefited from the Tiny Desk performance. Like, they got inside it when they did the Tiny Desk and it was stripped down. And I really felt like they were in the song. They were, this is us.
I agree. I think the compositional part of it was fantastic and rehearsed and fresh and sounded tight. Like, it was a very tight version of it. But then, so that's where I was high on it. But then it kind of fizzled on the jam, right? But they still get points for effort, I think, of going back into the jam. I like when they do that, but they didn't, didn't go with it. That said, fucking Oblivion, I thought, was starting to harken back to the first couple Oblivions before they neutered it, where it actually had some, meat to it. Like this one, I had like a nice. I thought this had a really nice jam to it. I really thought that was good.
Yeah, it was all right. I feel
you
like
don't
Oblivion.
Like Oblivion?
No, I like Oblivion. I just feel like that was the weakest part of the set. When I look at the rest of it, everything else was pretty sublime, pretty on point. And
yeah, but I think that's only in comparison, though. I don't think it was weak at all. Like, I think this Oblivion jam was stronger than anything they did in the first set.
It seemed like Trey was like, I want to do Oblivion tonight.
Yeah, but they didn't completely neuter it, at least, right? Like,
yeah, we'll see what happens the rest of the summer. It may end up being the 12-minute song. This may be where it lives, is this 12 minutes.
Right, which is better than what it had been the last couple, because they turned it from a 15-minute jam into like a 5-minute jam, which was, that's all I'm saying. I'm not sitting here saying it was the best jam ever. I'm just glad to see that they're giving it a little more life again, that they haven't resigned it to like the S.A.N.T.O.S level of being a shorty.
Right, I feel like Oblivion deserves more.
Of course it does. I agree 100%.
But No Man's got the more. I mean, it was full on Bliss there for a little bit, but when they broke it down and went into the Demented Dixieland thing, and I was like, this is what you're talking about. PHiSH Twitter went silent for like a minute. I think at one point during it, everybody was just sucked into watching the stage went dark. All the lights were dark on the stage. You couldn't see them. It was pretty cool. Pretty cool.
Yeah, I thought it was cool. It's funny. Chat's all shitting on the second set too. I wasn't expecting that. I thought the second, I mean, maybe I was just at the right headspace, but I really liked the second set a lot. I thought I liked the Oblivion night, like I just said, but I really liked the No Man's and the Monsters, but I thought the No Man's jam was interesting. That song tends to get very repetitive in its jamming style. You know, like you can get a very traditional, expected jam out of it. I thought this was a little more creative, and man, Monsters is fucking such a strong song.
Was very
such a strong song.
Do you feel like that when they start playing it, it's fucking Albuquerque?
I don't, but I know what you're talking about.
It sounds just like Albuquerque to me, and then it sounds like then you have the Neil Young riff with a Dio lyric, and I love it. It's one of my favorite things because it's so, you know, when you're a kid, everyone has nightmares. You know, that's the monster in the closets and all that kind of thing. So,
And then you become an adult, and then you have skeletons and other monsters in your head, right? Your personal monsters, the
no, that was
external
always my.
ones.
I loved Warren Haynes because all his lyrics are about temporary saint and Monkey
Yeah.
Hill, and it's all about addiction. And I feel like this is a song about his addiction. I think
You know it's strong lyrically if because like it pulled me in, and I never listen to lyrics, and that's what I love about the song so much. Well, I mean, I also like the singing and the harmonies, and I love all of it. I think it's an excellent song. Wearing Hanes.
Wearing
That's funny.
Hanes, yes. That's what we're doing. That's what we're doing. So A+ for Monsters. And you know what? It doesn't ever need to be more than 7 minutes. If that's your slow song in the set, A+. You know?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
I don't need Shade or Leaves or something there. I want a Monsters.
Yeah, I agree. I think it serves that role way better than a lot of other choices. I
Yeah,
really
and
like
the
that
solo is
song.
great. It's big rock and roll at the end. They really
Yeah,
get
it
going.
has
They
that-
just banging away. It's
That like Trey version of blues guitar, like the About to Run,
Yeah.
just monster rock god fucking slaying a guitar with like a lot of emotion in it, a lot of depth. Yeah, exactly. You don't need a Shade or one of these other bullshit songs.
You
Like
never need a Shade.
it's so funny because he writes songs. All right, I'm gonna be critical again, even though this is a set I really love. But like they write songs that like you feel like they're trying to be emotional, right? Like it's very like heavy-handed,
Yeah.
and it doesn't convey emotion. It just conveys, whatever. And then this
Yeah.
song, I think, does an excellent job conveying intense emotions. Right? You listen, and you're like, holy shit! Like you could feel the pain or the emotion. I don't even want to make it a negative thing. It's just
No, well, it's not pain, but it's very transparent. It's very clear and it's concise and it's stuff that everybody can relate to laying down at night and the thoughts racing through your head and
yeah, I
whatever
agree.
your monsters are that are going to pop up then, I need to go down to the bar or I need to, go cop at my spot or, I'm going to get online or whatever it is. Anyway, there is our TED Talk for the night. First cover of the summer is 2001 a cover because it's a cover of a cover.
Yeah. It's a cover because it's not an original.
There you go. Thank you. I had people online telling me that it wasn't a cover because it was a cover of a cover.
Yeah. I like the playful start where they don't jump right into it. I liked the groove in the beginning, and then that was it. And it was very frustrating to not
like
sit
one
in it
through,
more.
right? Once through, and then they ended it. I was like, give me a second time through.
Yeah, and it had a lot of potential. It always does. I don't know why they cut it short. The whole I actually at Chalk Dust, I was like, "Oh, you fucking copied Guy Forget. He does that and didn't
What?
change it, didn't you? He always
What?
abbreviates Chalk Dust to Dust, and I hate it. Hold on.
Oh yeah,
There it
I
is.
just copy and pasted.
I know you
I
did, and we
definitely
got to change that because I hate that abbreviation.
All right. Let me just talk a little bit about Chalk Dust
Yeah.
Torture. In 3.0, Chalk Dust Torture never got finished. And then when we got into 4.0, like the Hershey Chalk Dust Torture, I think was the first one where it was tight. It was like 10 minutes and they ended it and then went into a jam afterwards. Right.
Yeah.
And it's been like morphing ever since then. Then we got the biggest Chalk Dust ever, probably the best one they have ever played. People will throw out Baker's Dozen, I guess, but
both of them are really fucking good. I'm not even going to pick one over the other. They're both phenomenal.
Right. But then we get tonight a 13-minute one where they just put a nice 6-7 minute jam in the middle of it. Type 1. Let's fire it off. Boom. And we landed it. He nailed the ending. He completely, and with Bowie, I'll give him props. The both of them, he completely nailed coming back into it. The rest of the band hit it. And that's the best there is. That's what you want.
Yeah, I agree. Oh, I like all the different variations of it. I like the type 2 space you get all over the place, but I do like the massive peak after peak, high octane gas down, hit it. And I thought this was a very strong way. You know what I'm thinking though? Is like I came out of this set really high on it, and I think the Chalk.us did a lot of that work. But the
Mhm.
whole thing does feel rushed, right?
It
Like
does.
it's like what a show. I don't know how the time and I mean I
Hour
guess
and
we could add
10.
these up, but
It
it
was
feels like
it,
a
it was
super.
seven. It was about 70 minutes.
That's short, right?
They're usually 80, but the encore was 3 songs. So
Yeah, try to make up
Last
for it.
Night Hood was 12 minutes. So you got an extra 10 minutes in the encore. That's where your
I
other
thought,
10 minutes was.
yeah, I
I
thought
think
the
they panicked.
banter.
Well, I was just gonna say they probably got yelled at last night because they went so up against it. So Trey was gun shy tonight, and then they
Oh yeah,
realized they had enough time so they could do 3 songs for the encore. But
well, and when
go
you
on with
hit
the
that
banter.
climax on Chalk.us, though, like what are you gonna do? Like that's the end
Santos.
of the set.
Well, Santos would have been the end of the set.
Yeah, they could have, but they saved it for the encore, I guess.
All right,
I
but
thought,
go on about him talking because I really enjoyed that.
yeah, I really liked the banter of we should just not come out one night or how encores have become expected. We've talked about that. It's true, right?
But we've said the opposite, that they shouldn't even leave the stage and just play for another fucking 5 minutes. Come on, people.
Yeah, well, that too. Or, I feel like if the crowd isn't into it and not feeding that energy back to them, don't reward it, right?
Right.
Like that's how I always treat it. Is you give them the energy, the love. Like if they give you a great show and they finish the set strong, you fucking give them that energy, right? You
Right.
clap, you yell, whatever. You create the buzz. I love that. The encore when you have a super strong second set and
Right.
you can just feel it tingling through the crowd. And then they come
Right.
out and then it erupts even louder when you didn't think it was possible to get louder. That's what you want out of a fucking encore. You don't want people just waiting there talking about, oh, should we leave early so we can miss traffic or I don't know.
When I saw Boston, they were touring for a third stage. This is the album with Amanda on it. And they played every song in the whole catalog, right? And they had done their encore. They left. They turned the lights on. People were still screaming. They turned the lights back off, came back out and played Smokin' for a second time.
Yeah, that's the shit I'm talking about. That's what you
That's a
got to
real
do.
encore. You know
Earn
what?
your fucking encore.
Garcia Band never used to do encores. Like once
Yeah.
every 6 or 7 shows, they do an encore, which I
Well,
always love because people standing around looking. They're like, "Is that it? Why are the lights on? What happened?" You know?
I think that's why they always do it because they'd be afraid if they didn't do an encore, some of us would never
Riots.
leave.
Right
We just
here. Dude, I'm waiting for
just
the
sit
encore,
there.
man.
I've had times I'm not super proud to admit where they've left, they come back, they've done an encore, and I missed it, and like it just felt like the end of the second set, and I'm like sitting around like, oh, I'm just waiting for the encore, and like somebody,
Right.
usually my brothers, were like, dude, they did an encore, like, oh shit.
Right. We had a guy one night after when PHiSH played at Nissan. He after the show he came out and he was like, they only played one set, man. Why'd they make us all leave? And we're like, dude, man, they played all show. I don't know where you,
All right,
and then
let's
he
talk
wanted to
about this
drive.
actual encore.
Then he wanted to drive us home. And he's like, well, I'm one with the road. I was like, yeah, we're all gonna be one with the road if we get in the car with you. Circus Comes to Town is the best cover PHiSH does. My favorite.
Yeah, I love it. And I think it's a really appropriate encore.
So perfect. The lyric is the best Tom Marshall lyric Tom Marshall never wrote. It's so fishy. I mean, the lyric is very fishy, but not in an over-the-top way. But the carving your name in the tree and the circus, it's very image-filled, you know?
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, I loved it. And I thought the Bowie, you know what I thought though when they played Bowie was, God, Kevin's gonna be so pissed how short this intro is.
Yeah,
It was
God.
like it wasn't even an intro. It was just like
No, it wasn't.
like a count off, right? The hi-hat was just counting it off.
I want to change, remember we asked about what would you ask Trey to play, and I was like, Caravan. I would ask him to play a 5-minute Bowie intro. That is what my request would be.
Yeah.
But the Bowie was solid, nailed the re-entry. I feel like it's one of the best Bowie's in a long time, and that somebody must have been practicing it, because at the end he did the where he did the long note, and then he just boom hit it just like on the album.
Yeah, I don't know, but I feel like I heard a phenomenal Bowie recently. So I'm very hesitant to say that it's like the best Bowie in a long time. Oh yeah, the MSG Bowie on 12:30 was really good, I think. Or maybe it was the United one. I don't know. It was really good. With the very
Right.
short intro, but I agree. It was very tight, big climax. It's kind of
Right.
getting back a little bit. Still not anywhere near where it was, but
It never is going to be, but as an encore, it's great because they did a great cover with Circus. It's a slower one. They did a rocker with Bowie, and then they did, I am assuming, a nod to it being the 55th anniversary of the landing on the moon.
oh, is that what it was?
I think so, yeah.
I was gonna say it felt a little bit unnecessary. I don't like I don't like this band. No, like I don't know that Santos, like I know it's been in this position for a long time now, and I get it, but like
It owns this position.
it's
It
like
leaves people
so,
walking out. They're like, hi ho, hi. You see people hi ho and walking out of the venue.
I think it's the weakest of the closers. Like I think like I don't know, man. I don't like this in this position. I liked it more when they would take it out and do something with it. Because
right.
it's plotting. It's like a trudging along song. It's not ripping.
It's
It's not like
Ghost without the cool factor.
right. And Ghost isn't cool because it's a big closer. Ghost is cool because it's fucking cow funky. You know,
floats in and floats out like Theme. It just floats
right?
in
Like
and
a cool
floats
jam
out.
in the middle of a song. Like, and then you take Ghost and you try to make it into a fucking arena closer with like chanting and cheering and shit. I don't know, man. Like, I mean, whatever. Who cares?
Yeah. Now I tell you what, if you don't like what Tim said, why don't we get a reaction down in the comments when you're watching this
Leave
later?
us a
And
comment and let us know what we got wrong.
Yeah, let us know what we got wrong, because it was probably a lot.
Or, you know, a couple of you could like say something nice too if you want.
Oh,
If you,
we get lots of saying nice. We get lots
I
of
know we
people
do get
saying
some.
nice.
Did I tell you the guy who's like, you guys are just trying to relive your 30s? And I was like, oh, that
Oh,
one hurts.
Yeah,
That comment hurt.
that's funny. And the other guy was like, I don't want to hear two people with Baltimore accents. And I was like, Tim isn't going to like that.
I know. I was like, God, Kev, we've been hanging out way too much. What's happened? You're rubbing
Hey,
off on me. Or unless he
like,
just was talking about you for both.
right, like, subscribe. We love you guys. We'll be back tomorrow night. If you're a member, set break hang tomorrow.
Yeah. We'll see you next time. Thanks, everybody.